the little baby. We even heard a few coos. It was so cute. And as we sat there, huddled around the door, Joseph must have heard us. He came to the door and opened it and invited us in. I think he was a little surprised we were there so quickly. I think we might have interrupted their privacy just a little too. But we couldn't wait. The Messiah had been born. We had to come in and see the baby. We came in and bowed down before him and worshipped him. What an awesome thing has happened to us. It was amazing. We had seen the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Emmanuel, God with us. What a blessing we've experienced. And to think, the angels came and told us, shepherds, the Messiah had been born. Who would have thought? As I've read the story of the shepherds that night, I found that there's just enough details to make the story interesting. But there's a whole lot of questions I can ask. Have you ever wondered why the angels showed themselves to the shepherds in the fields just outside of Bethlehem? There sure were an awful lot of different individuals that the angels could have given the good news to. Why did they choose these despised men out in the fields? Proximity may be a good answer. But there were lots of places in Israel to raise sheep. What was special about these fields just outside of Beit Sahur? Well, these fields near Bethlehem were not particularly hospitable. Bethlehem was situated on a narrow ridge facing east from the mountains there. The fields that the shepherds were in were below the city. And there was nothing special about these fields except their history. These particular shepherds were herding their sheep in the very pastures right next to the city that prophecy foretold would be the birthplace of the Messiah. Think of it. What if the focal point of Jesus' return were to be Nampa? Would that not bring just a little bit of anticipation to your heart? A little excitement in your mind? Do you think that you would be excited about that? Maybe not. Maybe we have the sleeping saints this morning. No, I would be tickled. I would be watching the skies every day. If I knew Jesus were to return and Nampa is where he was coming first, I would be excited.
Amen.
And I think those shepherds there that evening have the same experience. The same fields that these shepherds were in were the fields that David had chased the lion and bear who had come to chase his flocks. These were the same fields where Jesse sent the messenger to retrieve David to take him before Samuel to be anointed the next king of Israel. These were the fields where Ruth picked up leftovers from Boaz's harvest. These were no ordinary fields. These fields had history. And now, these shepherds were herding sheep in those very same fields. It was to these lowly shepherds, these despised men, that the choirs of heaven sang. It was these dirty shepherds that the glory of heaven was revealed to. It was these outcasts of society that the greatest news the world has ever known was given. Another possible reason for the revelation to the shepherds in the fields outside of Bethlehem was because of the importance of shepherds throughout Israel's history. Now I can hear you say, well, wait a second, didn't you just say they were despised? Yes, you did hear me right. But let's think of Abraham for just a moment. Abraham was a shepherd. He was incredibly wealthy. He was blessed with large flocks. He was well known in the land for the blessings God had bestowed on him. Isaac and Jacob followed in his footsteps. Shepherding was a very important and well-respected occupation in the time of the patriarchs. The most wealthy and respected people were those with large flocks. But that all seemed to change in the days of Joseph. Do you remember the story? Joseph went into Egypt as a captive. He was thrown into jail. He ended up saving all of Egypt as well as the surrounding areas because of the visions that God gave and he understood. Joseph was there in Egypt And he saved many. And his family eventually came and moved there and had a privileged spot in Egypt. However, with time, the people fell out of favor with Egypt. They became slaves. Not only did their standing with Egypt change, their lifestyle also began to change. According to one author, the lifestyle in Egypt was one of agriculture. Agriculture was the accepted method of providing for needs. Over the 400 years the children of Israel lived in Egypt, they became accustomed to this way of life. Shepherding then lost